Have you ever met someone who smells like trouble, but you still can't look away? You know they're lying to you. You know they're using you, but something inside makes you nod your head and follow them anyway. People call this charisma. They tell you it's a rare gift you're born with. But this is a lie. Real charisma isn't magic. It's a professional hack of your brain. Today, we aren't going to learn how to be a leader. We're going to tear apart the traps these people set for you every single day, at your job, with your friends, or even in your own bed. We're going behind the scenes of their power. We're going to see the strings they pull while you think you're making your own choices. Welcome to Pancakes and Paradoxes. Today, we're turning off the lights to see the truth. To understand these people, you don't need a medical degree. You just need to know 3 words. Psychologists call them the Dark Triad. But let's call them what they really are: the egomaniac, the liar, and the heartless. First, there's the narcissist, the egomaniac. This person is addicted to being the center of the world. Everything they do is for one purpose: to get you to look at them and say, "Wow." They don't care about you. They care about the version of themselves they see in your eyes. They are masters of the first impression. They walk into a room like they own it, and because they believe it so much, you start to believe it too. Then there's the Machiavellian, the liar. This is the chess player. For them, every conversation is a move in a game. They don't have friends. They have assets. They use people like tools. If they're being nice to you, it's because they want something. They are the ones who whisper in the boss's ear or start rumors to clear their path. They are patient, they are quiet, and they never do anything without a reason. Finally, there's the psychopath, the heartless. This is the most dangerous one. Why? Because they have no brakes. While you feel guilt, shame, or fear, they feel nothing. They can fire 100 people or break a heart and then go eat lunch like nothing happened. This lack of emotion makes them look incredibly brave and cool under pressure, and that's exactly why we follow them. Why are we attracted to this mess? Because these 3 types have one thing we all want: absolute certainty. While you are doubting yourself, they are 100% sure of their own lies. And in a confusing world, a person who looks like they know where they're going will always find a crowd following behind them, even if they're walking straight off a cliff.
Here's a scary thought. Your brain is actually very old. While you live in a world of smartphones and high-speed internet, the software inside your head hasn't been updated in 50,000 years. Back then, life was simple but brutal. If you were alone, you were dead. To survive, you needed to find a group, and every group needed a leader. In those days, you didn't have time to interview a leader or look at their resume. You had to make a split-second decision based on one thing: how much space did this person take up? Did they look scared? Or did they look like they knew exactly what they were doing? This is where the glitch happens. Your brain is hardwired to mistake confidence for competence. Imagine you're lost in a dark forest. 2 people offer to help. One person is honest. They say, "I'm not sure, but we can try to find the way together." The second person is a liar, but they stand tall and shout, "Follow me, I know the way out." Even if the second person is walking straight toward a cliff, your primitive brain will scream at you to follow them. Why? Because fear makes us crave certainty, and dark leaders are professionals at acting like they have all the answers, even when they're making them up on the spot. In a modern office or a social group, this looks like the person who speaks the loudest and never admits they're wrong. They aren't smarter than you. In fact, they might be less capable. But because they don't show doubt, your caveman brain labels them as a protector. You start to feel safe in their shadow, even if that shadow is eventually going to swallow you whole. You aren't weak for following them. You're just running on old software that hasn't realized the world has changed. Have you ever noticed that the scariest, most powerful people in a room are often the ones who move the least? Think about it. When you're nervous, what do? You fidget, you fix your hair, you check your phone, you shift your weight from one foot to the other. You're leaking energy. You're signaling to everyone that you're uncomfortable. Dark leaders don't do that. They use something called cold status. The first rule of cold status is stillness. Watch a tiger in the grass. It doesn't twitch. It doesn't look around nervously. It just sits. When a dark leader sits in a chair, they stay still. They don't react to loud noises. They don't jump when a door slams. By not moving, they are telling your brain, nothing in this room can hurt me. I'm the biggest thing here. Then there's the eyes. Most people look away after 2 or 3 seconds of eye contact because it feels awkward. A dark leader doesn't feel awkward. They will look at you and keep looking until you are the one who looks away first. It feels like they are reading your thoughts, but really they're just winning a game of chicken. And because you looked away first, your brain automatically labels them as superior. The third trick is the slow speech. High-status people are never in a rush to finish a sentence. Why? Because they know everyone is going to wait for them. If you speak fast, you look like you're begging for attention. If you speak slow, you look like you own the room. But the most powerful part of cold status is silence. Most of us are terrified of silence. We try to fill it with or stupid jokes. A dark leader loves silence. They will ask you a question, and after you answer, they will just keep looking at you. They won't say a word. Your brain will panic. You'll think, did I say something wrong? And you'll start talking more just to stop the silence. That's exactly what they want. You are now explaining yourself to them. You are now the servant, and they are the judge.
Imagine there are 2 types of empathy. The first one is what we learn in school. You see someone crying and you feel a sting in your own heart. That's normal. But there is a second type, cognitive empathy. This is the superpower of the dark leader. They don't feel your pain, they study it. Think of it like a thermal camera. While you're talking about your day, they aren't listening to your words, they're scanning for heat. They're watching the way your hands tighten when you mention your boss. They hear the tiny crack in your voice when you talk about your father. They are looking for your source code. Every person has a price or a hole in their soul. Some people are starving for attention. Others are terrified of being rejected. A dark leader doesn't judge you for these weaknesses. In fact, they love them, because a weakness is a handle they can grab. They use a technique called validation fishing. They might say something simple like, "It sounds like you feel nobody really appreciates how hard you work." It's a generic sentence, but because they've scanned you, it hits you like a lightning bolt. You think, "My God, this person finally gets me." This is the most dangerous moment of the interaction. You feel a rush of relief. You start opening up. You tell them your secrets, your dreams, your shames. You think you're building a bridge, but you're actually just handing them the keys to your house. They aren't your friend. They are a technician. They are mapping your nervous system so they know exactly which button to press later. They know which lie will make you stay and which threat will make you work harder. They don't want to help you grow. They want to know how to keep you small enough to control. To them, your emotions aren't something to be shared. They are data to be used. And once they have enough data, you aren't a person anymore. You're just a machine they've learned how to operate.
Have you ever noticed that when you get close to a powerful, charismatic person, your world starts to get smaller? At first, it feels like a privilege. It's like you've been invited into a secret club where only you and the leader exist. But this isn't a club. It's a cage. And the first thing a dark leader does is cut your ties to the outside world. They don't do it by force. They do it with poison. They start poisoning your mind against your friends and family. They'll say things like, "Your mother doesn't really want you to succeed, does she?" Or, "Your friends are just jealous of the progress you're making with me." They make everyone else look like an enemy. This is called us versus them. It's the oldest trick in the book. By making the rest of the world look dangerous or stupid, they become your only safe harbor. They create a special language, inside jokes, secret terms, or nicknames that only the two of you understand. This makes you feel chosen, but really, it's just another wall between you and reality. The goal is simple: total dependency. They want to be the only person you trust. If you have a problem, you go to them. If you have good news, you tell them first. You stop thinking for yourself because you've outsourced your brain to them. They become your oxygen, and if you ever try to leave, they threaten to cut off the supply. They'll say, "Go ahead, leave, but remember, nobody else will ever understand you the way I do. You will be alone." This is the cult of one. You aren't in a relationship or a team. You are in a prison with a very comfortable chair. And the scariest part? You're the one who locked the door from the inside, because you've been convinced that the outside world is too cold to survive without your leader's warmth. But that warmth isn't love. It's the heat of the engine that is using you as fuel. Have you ever wondered why we forgive a genius for being a jerk? Or why we think a handsome person must also be kind and smart? Our brain has a massive bug called the halo effect. It's like a filter that makes us see people through a golden glow. If a person is good at one thing, like speaking in public or making money, your brain automatically decides they must be good at everything else. A dark leader uses this glow as a shield. They show you their success, their car, or their confidence, and your brain stops looking for their flaws. You think, someone this successful couldn't possibly be a liar. But that's exactly when they hit you. When they eventually do something cruel, your brain faces a crisis. This is called cognitive dissonance. It's the pain of holding two opposite ideas at the same time. Idea 1, my leader is a great person. Idea 2, my leader just treated me like trash. Admitting you are wrong is physically painful. It makes you feel stupid and weak. So, to stop the pain, your brain starts to lie to you. You start making excuses for them. You say, they aren't being mean, they're just under a lot of pressure. Or, they screamed at me because they want me to grow. You rewrite the truth to protect the lie. This is the ultimate victory for a dark leader. They don't even have to manipulate you anymore. You are doing it to yourself. You become your own jailer. You stay in a toxic job or a bad relationship because the alternative, admitting you were tricked, is too much to handle. Dark leaders love this. They know that once you've invested enough time, money, or emotion into them, you're trapped. You'll defend them to your friends. You'll fight for them. You'll become the dog that bites the person trying to save you from your owner. The halo effect isn't just a mistake. It's a blindfold you choose to wear because the light of the truth is too bright to bear. But remember, a gold-plated cage is still a cage, and the longer you ignore the cracks, the harder it will be to get out when the whole thing finally collapses. Most people think that being close to a charismatic leader will make them stronger. They think some of that power will rub off on them. But dark charisma doesn't share power. It consumes it. Being an apprentice to a dark leader is like standing too close to a black hole. The first thing you lose is your own voice. Have you noticed how you started using their phrases, their jokes, even their way of walking? This isn't learning. This is mirroring. They've trained you to reflect them so they can see their own greatness everywhere they look. To keep you hooked, they use a trick called strategic vulnerability. They will pull you aside and tell you a secret, something that makes them look human, broken, or misunderstood. You feel special. You think, he only shows this side to me, but it's a trap. By giving you a fake weakness, they trigger your instinct to protect them. They create a debt you didn't even ask for. Now you feel you owe them your loyalty. You start working longer hours. You stop seeing your own friends. You become a battery for their ego. And while you're busy being their loyal soldier, your own personality is dying from neglect. You stop knowing what you like. You stop knowing what you believe.
You become a ghost in your own life. The most painful part comes when they are done with you. A dark leader doesn't say thank you or goodbye. When they've squeezed every drop of energy, money, or time out of you, they just stop calling. Suddenly, the special club is closed. You're left standing outside in the cold, and you don't even remember who you were before you met them. You look in the mirror and see a stranger. You have their habits, but you have no heart. You have their goals, but you have no future. They didn't teach you how to be a leader. They taught you how to be a footstool. And the worst part? While you're still trying to figure out what happened, they've already found someone new, someone younger, someone more loyal, someone whose source code hasn't been cracked yet. The price of apprenticeship isn't your time, it's your soul. And once you give it away, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to buy it back.
There is a final paradox you must face. Most people think that by learning these tools, they become a villain. They think that tactical empathy and cold status are weapons for the bad guys. But here is the truth. Manipulation is actually a sign of weakness. It's the tool of a person who is terrified of being themselves. When you feel the need to control others, it's because you have zero control over your own fears. A dark leader is like a drug addict. They need your validation and your fear just to feel alive. Real power is the exact opposite. Real power is the choice not to play the game. Think about it. Once you see the source code, once you understand the tricks, you stop being a puppet. You see the narcissist trying to bait you, and you just smile and walk away. You see the silent treatment coming, and it doesn't hurt you because you don't need their approval to exist. This is the freedom of the observer. You stop reacting and you start deciding. Only the person who knows how to break a heart knows how to truly protect one. When you understand how emotions work, you can use that power for connection instead of control. Authenticity isn't the absence of power. It's the conscious decision to use that power to build bridges. The dark leader builds a throne. The true leader builds a team. One leads through fear, the other through clarity. One wants you small, the other wants you to grow. Now you have the scalpel in your hands. You know how the machine works. You can stay in the shadows and manipulate the pieces on the board, or you can turn on the lights and walk out of the theater entirely. The pleasant fiction of nice relationships is over. You see the code now. The question is, what are you going to do with this truth? Are you going to become the new monster, or are you going to be the one who finally breaks the cycle? Real power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to lie. It just is.
You've looked behind the curtain. You've seen the wires, the mirrors, and the gears. Most people will go through their whole lives being pulled by these invisible strings. They will fall in love with ghosts and follow monsters. But you're different now. You've seen the source code of human interaction. This knowledge is a burden. Once you see the manipulation, you can never unsee it. You'll see it in your boss's fake praise. You'll see it in your partner's silent treatment. You'll see it in the news. The world will feel a little colder, a little more calculated. That is the price of being awake. But there is a gift in this coldness. You can no longer be owned. The Dark Triad thrive on your confusion. They need you to be lost in the fog of your own emotions. But now you have a compass. You know that stillness is power. You know that silence is a shield. And you know that your vulnerability is a treasure that must be guarded, not given away to the first person who understands you. The tools we've discussed today are dangerous. In the wrong hands, they create monsters. In your hands, they should be a perimeter, a line in the sand that says, this far and no further. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who shouts or the one who controls. It's the one who sees everything and needs nothing. That is the path of the observer. That is the true cold status. If you want to keep exploring the dark corners of the human mind, then stay with us. There is much more to uncover, much more to protect.
Subscribe if you're ready to see the world for what it really is. Leave a comment below. Have you met a narcissist, a Machiavellian, or a psychopath? Tell your story. Your truth might save someone else. Stay sharp, stay real, and most importantly, don't let the darkness become you.